All right, so Taffy, don't get mad. The intro's totally fine. Like, Taffy gave us an intro. We're going to do it on the way over to locals because it's like, it didn't fit the show tonight. And like, we just did a whole show of gossip. And this is a very gossipy intro. And I was like, I don't, like, it would have led us into talking about the thing because of the intro. And so yeah, if you guys want to see the intro, we're going to play the intro going into locals, and then that will kick off.
Wait a minute. Is LifeSite premiering your interview right now?
Yes, right up against ours.
Anthony v. Anthony.
Oh man, I'm curious to see. Wait, hang on. I want to just kind of see like
feminism and the Jews. Let's start.
Feminism and the Jews.
In America, you have the huge influx of
yeah, so I'm on with John Henry Weston right now. That was my interview when I went down to Florida. Well, I'll tell you, man, just seeing some of the pictures from me down there, I was like, oh, it's time to get back
time
to
for Lent.
Time for Lent. And I started the gym this week. I've been talking to Majorian and Pantile. Like, I am in so much pain, dude. I'm back at the gym. My body is in agony.
Well, it's not like you're working, so.
Well, that's why I figured it's a good week to get back in because I'm so sore. But that's the other, dude. It's crazy. Like, I've never seen my company shut down like this. So we shut down. The last day I like officially worked was January 23rd. I was off the first week, the last week of January. Then last week I got called in for 3 days. Well, of course, there's 2 people watching LifeSite. You guys are all here. I got called in for 3 days last week.
I guarantee
but it was like
60 plus years old too.
It was like random kind of work. So I actually told. Oh man, I don't know. Am I allowed to talk about this? I don't know. This might be legal reasons. I can't. I'll tell that story about locals.
What? Oh,
like I had him hold the date. I don't want to say it because like.
We talking about the gambling?
Oh, we'll get into that now. So
there's probably legal reasons not to talk about that one too.
Well, what's interesting is so I've been out of work for 3 weeks, right? And I put money on the Super Bowl, but I didn't bet the Super Bowl. We had these boxes, and Super Bowl boxes are like you buy a box and then they put 1 through 10 on the top, 1 through 10 on the side, Seahawks on the side, Patriots on the top, and like they're random numbers. And if your number comes in, you get paid per minute, right? So now I split these boxes.
Oh, wait, is this one of the settings?
We'll do set A drama tonight. Don't worry.
Yeah, but is that one of them?
We'll do set A drama tonight. At some point, like if you guys are tuning in for the title, just I don't know, stick with us. I don't know. This is just people get mad at me because I call them boxes and other people call them squares. So anyway, so I get 0-0 and 0-3 Seahawks having 3, right? Now that means every minute of the game you get $1,000 for as long as the score stays those numbers. So the game starts off and we get like 6 minutes of 0-0, and then the Seahawks kick a field goal and it goes to 3-0. Now I have both of those boxes. So I have 0-0 and 3-0 right through the first quarter and 3 minutes into the next quarter. Now I'm splitting these boxes 4 ways because it's my brother-in-law, my 2 brothers-in-law, and my father-in-law are in it also. So it winds up being like 20,000 that we win, 23,000 because it's like a $5,000 bonus at the quarter and all that. So it's like 23 grand we win, split 4 ways. After you give like a tip to the guy running the box.
Wait, is this technically legal?
Yeah, because like the guy's not making money on the box. So like it's just a pool.
Right.
It's like if you're hosting a card game, as long as the house isn't making money,
right,
it's legal. Right. So it's like as long as the house isn't making money is legal. So it turns, so we end up, I'm supposed to go today to go pick up the 20 grand. I go there and the guy hands me an envelope and he goes, hey, here's your envelope. And I leave the place and I get in my car and I count it.
Hold on. You're walking around somewhere nearby New York City.
Not
with
near
what you thought.
on Long Island.
Okay, still. With you thought 20 grand in cash on you
Mhm.
without carrying a firearm.
Who said I wasn't carrying a firearm? Who said I wasn't with someone carrying a firearm? I'm just saying. Like,
Fair.
yeah,
That's nuts.
I'm not going into a situation like that without being without proper protection.
Okay, good. I'm proud of you.
I get in the car and I count it.
Perfect time.
Listen to this story, guys. I'm not kidding how crazy this is. I get in the car. It's supposed to be 20,000 in there. There's 36,000 in there. Now, dude, I don't care how Catholic you are. The thought goes through your mind, okay? Like, I don't care how Catholic you are. The thought goes through your mind. I pull out of there and I'm like,
that's how you end up sleeping with the fishes.
I'm like, no, this guy would have never known. This guy's got so much going on. He'd have never known the mistake he made. Like, he literally never would have known the mistake he made. I drive away and I'm just thinking about it and I'm going, no. Like, this isn't even, like, this isn't one of those, like, you can't confess this because you have to make amends. Like, there's no way you can do this. It's basically like saying, I'm giving up my relationship with God for 16 grand.
Does that guy give you a 1099?
Only if you went over 10 grand, right? Rob, it's a friendly pool that you're chipping in on. You don't need to. There's no.
I'm just saying. I would
getting at. Why are you talking like this?
This might have been the ship. Maybe have been a local show.
I'm just telling a story. Come on, we're talking about. So I'm literally like, yeah, you like. It's not like this guy never would have known. He would have just been like, I messed up somewhere. But there's no way you can confess that without making amends. Like, there's no way. It's impossible. Like, you have to make amends.
No, you don't have to. Not for absolution. A priest cannot require that.
He can't require it, but like, dude, there's no way. Either way,
I mean, I know what you're saying.
Like, either way, like, it's stealing. You know what I mean? It's stealing.
It is.
So I go back in and I'm like, you got another AA you owed money to? And he's like, no, why? I go, sit down. He sits down and I pull the envelope out and I go, this is what you really were supposed to give me. And this is what you gave me. He was like, oh. I go, you literally gave the money to the only person who would have returned it to you.
Yeah.
I said, go and double check all your work. It's like, I'm not kidding. You gave it to the only person who would have returned it to you. Not another person would have done that for you. He goes, I'm going to throw you in a free $1,000 box at March Madness. I'm like, I haven't watched basketball once in my life.
You're like, no.
I'm like, I don't want it.
Please don't make me watch that.
Dude, I was just so like, and then I'm driving home and I'm like, you know what? It's good. I don't care. I get to sleep with a clean conscience, man. Like, that was a hard one though, because the devil really does sneak in on stuff like that. It's like, yeah, it's dirty money.
Because you wouldn't have even had to split that 16 grand.
No, I wouldn't have. Why? I got to give the guys I split the box with get what they get. That would have been my 16.
I know.
That would have been my 16. So I would have had my 5 plus. I would have had 21 grand. But here's really how I looked at it. Like, I was laid off for 3 weeks and didn't get a paycheck. And God literally gave me a way to, like, I haven't had to ask anybody. It's not like I put a fundraiser out. Hey guys, I'm off of work. Can you help me? I haven't had to do that at all. Because like, God like drops these little things in my life that it's like, okay, you're still doing okay. You don't need to do that. Like, it really is amazing how God is taking care of me. And I'm not going to play games with that.
He did already fix the boat, everyone.
That could have went towards the boat fund, but yeah, the boat's already fixed. Oh man, I never asked you guys for money for the boat. Never once. Don't you dare. I never ever did that. But yo, you know what I was thinking about? Dude, we've never had a cold spell like this in New York in 10 years. Like I
Yeah.
don't remember it ever being cold like this. If we didn't do that for my brother, every one of the pipes in his freaking house would have burst. I think Anthony misread the card and actually won. Nah, I went back and double checked everything. I thought maybe I hit because I had those 2 boxes I split with my brothers and father-in-law, and I also had another box that if that box would have came in, I would have hit the 10 grand, but it didn't come in. And that box didn't come in. So I'm like sitting there and I'm trying to find a way to make it okay to keep them. Dude, don't believe me. I went through every scenario. I'm like, maybe I missed something.
Our fans will never let anything go. Never. It's been 3 years and they
look. I tell you guys everything. I don't know. I'm so stupid. I literally air out everything on this show. Yes, he should have given me. He should have thrown me. He should have thrown me 1,000 for. I literally, he gave it to the only part because I talked to a bunch of other people and they were like, you gave him that. Well, like, why didn't you just take, like, why would you give that back? It's like, how do I not give it back to him? Like, I say like way too much. I'm sorry, guys. Somebody already criticized me for that. I say way too many likes. I apologize. Yeah, it was a hard one though, man. I'm telling you that you start to think about like, can I get away with this? Should I get away with this? And I feel good about giving him his money back. I can sleep good at night. God took care of me for the time I was off, and he gave me enough money to supplement my income while I'm off. And he's blessed me with many things in my life. I don't need to steal. Stealing's a big one, man. I don't like playing games with money. Like stealing is one of the big ones. It's I don't know. It's one that all of us should avoid at all costs. Like I even get like that with with overtime and stuff. Like you can't just be. You gotta be very cautious with this stuff. Do you repent of not doing the street interviews? You guys are going to get surprised. First off, the equipment I bought though, I'm bringing to Italy, so you guys will get interviews in Italy. I'll give you that. That money will go to something. Yeah, stealing is one of the top 10, man. Stealing's one of the top 10. You gotta watch those. Look, I'm being honest with you guys that it was tempting to walk away with 16,000. Like that's a big number, man. And I never would have got caught. The guy never would have known who he overpaid. Like there was just way too many people he's dealing with. He would have never known. And I did. I gave it back to him. So that was one story. What else have we done? I'm being sued.
Oh, that's right.
I'm being sued for an accident my son got into.
You know what would really help with that? 16 grand.
16 grand would certainly help with that. I'm being sued. So my son, when he first got his car back in like 2023, got in an accident, totaled the car. I didn't hear anything for 2 years, and I thought nothing of it. All of the accident was over and everything. I get served in the mail the other day, and I'm reading through the summons. I sent it to Rob, and the woman is suing me for 100 grand for damages to her dog. She's suing for 100 grand for herself, right? So my insurance policy, I guess my liability covers 100,000 per person. That's my liability coverage. So if you get in an accident with somebody, you have $100,000 coverage per person in the vehicle. So she's trying to get 100 grand for the dog. And Rob, what would you say? You're like, it's property, right?
Yeah. So this has come up a few different times in different states with self-defense, like where a dog attacks someone or looks like they're going to attack someone and the guy shoots it. And the family tries to sue him for, all this money. And in the end, the judge is like, it was just property. The guy destroyed your property. He pays you back the value of the property. So here's like $2 grand for a new dog.
Yeah.
Like it would have been cheaper if that dog had died in that car.
So this person's saying, is there any kind of statute of limitations on it? Yes. They served me the summons 9 days before the statute of limitations was up.
It took her that long to find a lawyer that would do it on what was it called when they do it on commission.
I don't know if we should do this on locals because the last time we talked about it, I had to do like the whole Chinese accent and everything. So my daughter, both my kids did this to me, man. My son gets his license and a month later he totals his car. My daughter, when she gets her car, within like 3 months, she has less than a fender bender. She barely taps this guy's car. It like did some bumper damage on his car. And he like it's so minor. Talk about you lost it on air. My lawyer's chirping.
I wonder if Taffy the lawyer would also say that.
So my daughter gets this fender bender, and she hits a Chinese. She hits a Chinese guy, has a fender bender with him, and the guy on the scene, like I'm not even there. My daughter FaceTimes me. She's hysterically crying just because she's upset she got in a fender bender. But I talked to the guy. It's a Chinese kid. He goes to medical school on Long Island. He said, everything fine, no police, no nothing. So they leave.
Well, yeah, because no way that guy was insured.
He was, but I think what happened was he was a young guy. He saw a pretty girl. My daughter had a fender bender, and he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it." Then he went home to his Chinese parents. His Chinese parents were like, "No, you sue. She hit you." That one, they took $100,000 from my insurance. Right off my insurance didn't even want to fight with them because the guy was going to go for fake surgeries and stuff.
Really?
I'm telling you, yeah, it was like these people were crazy. I think the insurance got on the phone with them. Were like, all right, we're just gonna pay it out, max policy, fine.
Jeez.
But this one that the girl with the dog, I think she never went to the doctor. She never got a surgery, nothing. So my insurance is like, we're not just gonna pay you out on this. You don't have any real injuries. Like the girl's just trying to. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. At
Yeah,
least
the jury's gonna love the accents. They just mwah. A couple of Asian people on that jury, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good."
I don't know. Listen, this is your Catholic podcast entertainment, guys. I don't know what you
also
guys thought.
Didn't I see a picture of your wife hitting your
Holy cow! Yeah, man. My wife puts the truck bumper right into the hitch for the boat. I'm like, do you like how do I let you drive? I don't understand. And you can see all the other dents on the bumper from all the other things my wife has hit. Woman, I'm gonna kill her. Oh man, never a dull moment in the Abadi home. I'll tell you that. So yes, this is your Catholic podcast, guys. I don't know who else has shows like Rob and I, but I heard Tim Gordon did the same topic tonight. Did he talk about his gambling
lawsuits and Asians?
Is this how Tim Gordon's show started out tonight? Yeah, it's interesting because I knew tonight would be one of those shows where we like talk about personal stories and things like that because it's a slow news week. But what was interesting to me, well, should we do knickknacks before we jump into it?
Yeah, we probably should talk about our sponsor.
We should talk about knickknacks and what's going on with the Shop Lobster, guys, because I want more lobster tails before Lent.
What do you mean?
I want lobster tails before Lent.
Well, you know the website.
Yeah, I'm gonna, but I don't want to shout it out until I know they're on board. Are they on board?
Well,
Ash Wednesday's next week.
I know, but what's stopping you from ordering lobster tails?
I didn't want to mention it on the show until I know they're on board. That's all I'm saying.
I'll talk to them tomorrow.
Because the thing is, like last episode was a bit of like gossipy stuff about Sarah Stock and Elijah. Tonight we're gonna talk about
about the Jews.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Jews a little bit. But for Lent, I do want to do more spiritual driven shows.
For sure.
Are you gonna do Lenten readings?
Yeah, I want to do divine intimacy daily for Lent.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
don't bail like you did at
well, I haven't sucked because of all the traveling we were doing and stuff.
Yeah, because I think for the hardcore listeners that actually watch Rob's Lenten reflections, they're always good because he doesn't just do the reading. Like Rob gives a little summation of it and he gives a little personal anecdote for it and stuff. And my mother and my wife and myself, like all of us really do enjoy those. So I really do hope you stick to the Lenten readings. But besides even that, I would like for our shows to be a little more spiritual driven. I'm still like hammering out the details of what I'm giving up for Lent. I know I'm definitely giving alcohol up. I'm I might do bread and cheese again, man. That's such a hard one for me because like 90% of my diet was over pizza and sandwiches, and it's just it's one of those you give
Yeah.
up cheese and it totally drastically changes everything you're eating, and then still give up meat on Wednesdays and Fridays and stuff. Like I'm still hammering out exactly what I'm going to do.
I think I'm
Also
gonna
like to eat something and bring it to the show.
be fasting every day except Sunday. So one meal, for dinner, and
I like that
completely
too.
meatless through Lent.
I
So
have
no
a
meat and fasting.
I have a priest who I have probably two priests who I would like to get on, and they're not priests who have been on previously. So, but I do have two priests in mind who I would like to get on during Lent. I have to figure out what we're going to talk about, but that will definitely be something we do. I want to do more. I just because I liked when we did that during Advent, like we did those 2 deep dives into Scripture during
Yeah.
Advent. I think we should try to keep our show with the liturgical flow to try to keep.
Should I I'd probably have to do it this weekend, which isn't too bad, but maybe I should record Stations of the Cross.
Would be
People
good.
can put on because I've looked for that on YouTube before and I've found some good ones, but yeah, if you guys would like Stations of the Cross, you can play whenever you want throughout Lent. Let me know.
A lot of people asking for Father Maudsley to come on during Lent. Maybe we could do that. Yeah, I have a couple of ideas. One priest in particular I would like to bring on. Just going to figure out exactly what we're going to do. Like, Bobby bought me a book. Oh man, that too.
Hold on, we didn't do Knick-Knack. We still haven't done Knick-Knack.
That too. Bobby came out and met all my sisters except Teresa, and I almost had another fight with Jack.
With
Remember
Jack?
Jack who threw the bottle at my head, my sister's baby daddy?
Oh, really?
We'll do it on locals.
Hold on, before we go any further, Knick-Knack.
Knickknack.com. Knickknacks are the best. They're trying to pitch a taxation on nicotine pouches in New York, and I'm really hoping Knickknack is not affected by this, because Knickknack, oh man, my new favorite is grapefruit. I'm trying to
Grapefruit's good. Yep.
Grapefruit is so good, man. Grapefruit, lemon,
Tangerine, blood orange,
and the blood orange, like all the
citrus,
fruitier
man.
flavors the citrus flavors are
Now,
so good.
You should not be surprised that that's coming from a man whose favorite drink is a rocket fuel.
A rocket fuel, which is like a pina colada with a shot of dark Bacardi on top.
Yes, I do need a haircut, Margot. You're right. Thank you.
But the thing is, I thought, because I do like when I take like Zin, I prefer wintergreen, or I prefer like
I like the
peppermint.
mint. Yeah.
Like when I do Zin, but the Knickknacks, I prefer the citrus flavors. But Knickknacks are amazing, and they give us a very good discount. So if you guys go to knickknack.com, use code AB 25% for 25% off. They've been very helpful for me because I've given up some other vices that I'm not allowed to say that it actually helps with, but it totally helps with that. If you have any other cravings, it totally helps them. But I'm not allowed to say that it actually helps them, because it's definitely not a smoking cessation device. And also, legal disclaimer.
Legally, we are required to say that they do contain nicotine, which is the point of having them. They didn't have nicotine. Why the heck would we want them? But we do have to say that nicotine is also an addictive chemical, which might be why we want them, I guess.
Yes.
But it is going to help with fasting during Lent.
That's true. That's true. So we can't say it's a smoking cessation device, but we can say it's
fasting aid.
Can we say it's a fasting aid? Because it will definitely curtail your appetite, I would think.
I don't know, until the FDA tells us we can't say
the FDA may totally. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. We're getting into all sorts of legal trouble for Knickknack, but knickknack.com, use code AB 25%. AB 25% for 25% off at checkout. Okay. So yeah. All right. I forget. I have stories, but I have to save them for locals, because some stuff, especially because I forget there's family listening to our show now. Like, there's family listening to my show. Like, people are sharing my show within my family. So I have to be cautious. But
It only took
Bobby
us 4 years.
Bobby got the full display of what a body function is like.
I haven't
and-
even seen that thing.
Oh man, it's wild. Like there's just so much tension. They wanted to play the game nouns and it just got really tense for a little bit. And Nick Knacks helped me fast completely. But I thought Bobby was gonna say Nick Knacks helped me get through my experience at the Abadi family home over the weekend to relieve some of the stress of dealing with me and my sisters. My sisters are a handful, man. The
The
Abadi
answer
girls.
to this is yes.
Should I call into John Deloney if Ant gives me a script of what to say? I also have. What do you think? Should we do another John Deloney episode? I'll go through and I'll find the worst of John Deloney where he tells women to get divorced, where he tells women.
That's the perfect title to an episode like that. The worst of John Deloney.
The worst of John Deloney. Like I will scour this stuff and I will go through the punishment and find the ones where he advises women to leave their husbands. I'm a senior in high school, and in my financial literacy class, we were watching John Deloney, and I checked my phone to see last night's episode, and lo and behold, John Deloney. Seniors in high school watching our show. That's awesome.
We had we did an interview with the college kid this weekend.
Yeah,
He's doing a project on us for some reason.
well, yeah. So that was interesting. He's 20. Then I met a couple of young guys after mass this week. Two guys came up to me after mass, said they really enjoyed the show. All young guys, man. It really is. It's a great feeling to have like young guys come up to you and tell you that they enjoy the show.
Ocean,
so
are you
to watch our show?
Are you a sophomore in high school, Ocean?
I think he was on our show. He came on one of the advice shows.
Did he? I know he watches all the time.
I think he watches. He found us when we had Wagner on.
Oh yeah,
he checks our show out now.
Yeah.
Yes, he was on our show.
The college kid probably cares more about his grades than the high school dropout did, most likely.
It was interesting because he asked guys. I'm sorry if you came in for the topic tonight.
Yeah.
Like it's just not one of those shows. Like we will get to it, but because man, it's Lila Rose again, and I see all of the
more high schoolers. Wow.
I see the mistake all of the typical guys are making. Like they see this base chick speaking out against Israel, and I saw everybody lining up. Oh, get her on the show, get her on the show. And I'm like, boys, don't do it.
She is apparently a Candace fan, so.
But just don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't do it. I don't know why you guys don't learn, man. There's no e-girls ever. There's no exceptions.
You know, Chris had the message crafted already, if not sent already, by the time you tweeted that.
Chris?
Yeah. You just know.
I saw people starting to ask, hey, you want to come on? And she's like, sure, I'll come on for an interview. And I'm like, nope, ain't doing it.
Not doing it.
I will not break this rule. We have our exceptions. It's like Nancy Charles. We make the exception for Nancy Charles.
Mm-hmm.
We make the exception for Catherine Bennett.
Yep.
Those are the two women we allow on our show. No e-girls ever. Neither of them are e-girls. We won't do it. Not for any of them. I don't care how base you think that. I don't care if they speak out against Israel. None of it. I don't care. Because I'm going to tell you, this girl, yeah, she said some cool stuff there. I guarantee this chick's a kook.
Well, she's former Miss California.
She's a kook. Come on. You can tell. She's a nut. She's like, yes, Mrs. Bennett. Mrs. Catherine Bennett. She is wonderful, Mrs. Catherine Bennett.
The irony of the statement. Catherine Bennett gets a dispensation.
I love Catherine, man. She's awesome.
Yeah, but that was different, Hope.
Yeah, you're Rob's wife.
I mean, Ant's wife has been on too.
Yeah, my wife's been on too. That doesn't count.
We've had Angela on, but that was during trivia, so that's different.
Angela's not an e-girl either. Like,
no, definitely not.
There's a very specific thing when you mean e-girl. You know what I mean? It's like these aren't e-girls. And that was an interesting time anyway. It was like we were trying to figure out what we were doing. We were doing trivia, and Angela, we were trying to help her get going too. Angela's, I think Angela, if you're gonna listen to a girl that's pro-life, like you're better off listening to Angela than Lila. Like,
yeah.
Like, no, without a doubt. I want my daughters to listen to Angela. I don't want my daughters listening to Lila.
No.
It's a very big difference. So But yeah, I guess we can play the clip. We'll play the clip. What the lady said is pretty good.
You want the one that I said start at like 4 minutes, that first one?
Sure. We'll just wing it. Whatever you think. And then we'll get into the Lila Rose stuff, because the Lila Rose stuff is... Yeah, go to the 4 minute point. We don't have to watch this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, this was at the Commission on Religious Liberty, which was put together by Trump. And it's on a hearing on anti-Semitism and freedom of religion. And I think we're ready here.
Take that point for a second.
Let me back up. I didn't want to step over that answer. I didn't know you were still, both of you, still talking. So
Just to be clear, is anti-Zionism anti-Semitism?
Yes.
It is under IHRA?
Rabbi,
Sure.
you're up next.
You're not sure?
Definition,
So what is the
I would
definition?
love to speak to that. Undoubtedly, anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, and undoubtedly, and one does not have to support the specific policies of the government of Israel, but to not support the right of Israel to exist, which is what anti-Zionists do, while not taking that same stand to the 28 Muslim countries and 13 Christian countries in this world, is a double standard, is hypocrisy, and is absolutely anti-Semitism.
I think it's also important that we not make Islamophobic remarks while we're here today.
Yeah, she's a little crazy about the Mohammedans.
But that's what I mean. Like, everybody clamoring over this chick. This chick's nuts, dude. I'm just telling you. She's nuts. I mean, I'm happy she did this. I mean, it's all everybody's talking about today. And she does. We'll finish out what she's saying, because she says some good stuff. But let's just be real about it. Like, the thing is, like, people think they need to justify their criticism of Israel with the Palestine stuff.
Right. I agree.
You don't need to. It's like, you don't need to just make it like your only issue with Israel is because of what they're doing in Gaza. That's, but go ahead, we'll let it play out.
I would appreciate that.
I just want to
Since
say,
this is a religious liberty hearing.
God forbid was anything like that said. But if the Jewish people are the only people that you deny the right to have its own state, that is absolutely a double standard, hypocrisy, and anti-Semitism.
Well, as you know, I'm a Catholic, and Catholics do not embrace Zionism, just so you know. So are all Catholics anti-Semites, according to you?
As I said, anti-Zionism, by denying the right of the Jews to have their own state while not saying the same for any other peoples, that is a double standard, hypocrisy, and anti-Semitism.
So just to be clear, are Catholics anti-Semites?
Carrie, excuse me. I'm going to interrupt the discussion. Our committee is focused on religious liberty taken from all people, whether it be Muslims, Jews, Christians, Sikhs. We've had all those witnesses here. This is not a commission on defining religions or calling out any theology, or this is not the commission for that.
Right, but we're
And so
talking
you
about
were-
a foreign nation, so I want to be clear on what the definition of anti-Semitism is. If I don't support the political state of Israel, am I an anti-Semite? Yes or no?
They already answered, asked and
Yes.
answered.
According to you on the record, yes? If I don't support the political state of Israel?
I don't personally.
Yeah, like they're
label-
talking past each other in a way.
But-
Like one, she's saying, "Do I need to support the political state of Israel?" And he's saying, "Does Israel have a right to exist?" Now, my question would be, what do you mean by a right to exist? Like, does anybody have a right to exist? Like what country has a right to exist? And what do you mean by right? Are you saying like a divine right to exist? Because Israel does exist.
Right.
Like, whether we,
I mean, there's many nations in the world without states, right? I mean,
so Israel does exist. So saying like, I don't think they have a right to exist. I don't know what you're even getting at. I don't think they have a divine right to exist. I don't think they have a right, even a human right, based upon the fact that they have some inheritance to this land based on history or scripture. No, I don't think that. I think that they do live in this land, and I think that they do probably have some kind of a right to defend themselves because they already
Right.
exist there.
Yeah.
And you're
yeah,
not, and on a natural level, you're not going to say like that. I'm sorry, I keep saying like, guys, but it's just a
Just stop worrying about it. It's making it worse.
crutch. I'm
Just
sorry.
say it.
It's just, it's hard to make a distinction here because they do exist. So whether I think I just want to make sure people don't ever say, when they ask you, does Israel have a right to exist? Ask them what they mean, because Lila Rose said this today also, where she said, if Zionism means I think Israel has a right to exist, then I'm a Zionist, and so is the Catholic Church. If Zionist means I condone everything the Israeli government does, then no, I'm not a Zionist. I also don't condone everything America does. So this is why this stuff gets conflated and mixed up and stuff. I want to know what she means by right to exist, because
She means whatever she needs to mean for her to stay in her little pocket of evangelical Christianity. That's what she means.
they don't have a right to the land based upon history because they were there in biblical times. Like, no, that's not why they are in that land because they forced their way in and they made deals and whatever. Like, that's how. So we're in a position where you can't just throw them out now. They're there.
Well, you can throw them out, but
Yeah, I mean, they threw whoever was there
I
before.
mean, they
out,
threw
right?
everyone who was there before out, so it's
So
doable.
they do occupy that region. So at this point, you
I
can
think
like I mean, I honestly think that if you want to get theological on it, I think that the state of Israel is the kingdom of Satan on earth. I mean, that's what I think it is.
I mean,
But
as Catholics, like, we don't believe any nation that professes a false religion has the right to exist and exist under that false religion. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
and-
every people has a right to exist, and they have a I don't know if there's a
I mean,
real natural right to
Jews have a right to
self-determination.
exist. God, like they have a
Right, of
God-given
course.
right to exist, of
Yes,
course.
but their false religion does not, right?
Yeah,
And if that's going to be if that's going to be a state religion, then no, that state does not have a right to exist.
and
And Catholics would say the exact same thing for those 28 Muslim nations.
yeah, and when they say, like, because that guy was saying, do you think that Jews don't have a right to their own homeland? I mean, do we have a right to our own homeland? I mean,
Jews would say no.
that's what the irony of this whole conversation is, because I'm fine with you guys having a right to it as long as you afford us the same rights. Are you going to afford us the same rights that you are asking for yourself? And there were times where we had Catholic states that I think should have had a right to exist, but those were disbanded, and the American government did everything they could
Yes.
to upend. I mean, you're talking about the American government. Forget the Israeli government, the American government. If you look at what happens in South America and Central America, and
America helped assassinate Gabriel Moreno in Ecuador. The Americans helped fund what was his name? Calles against the Cristeros.
Yeah. So somebody had said to me, man, where was it? So no, they have a right to live in their ancestral homeland. They have a right to be alive. The Jews who have always lived in Israel, who never left, have a right to their own country and government, free from hatred and whatever that word.
But the person who wrote that has no idea that it was the Zionist who actually kicked out the Mizrahi Jews, the Middle Eastern Jews who had lived there off of their land, just like they did to the native Christians and the Mohammedans that were there. Trust me, there's no one that hated the Zionists more than the Middle Eastern Jews who had lived there for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and
it just shows an ignorance of history.
There's also the element that comes in of the judgment of God that comes upon the Jews when they reject Christ and they get dispersed amongst the nations. That's a very real thing that happens, and it is part of their judgment. And it's not the first time it's happened. God has done it before. So, I mean, we've talked about this plenty of times on our show, but I I think it's interesting when you watch these back and forths between this lady Carrie Prejean Boller, whatever her name is, this who just became Catholic 6 months ago. I mean, she just became Catholic, right? So, and the other thing is, I actually agree with Lila on something else.
Oh boy,
which is very rare, but I want to bring this up. Hang on, I didn't put it in the. So Lila said, so to Carrie, that. So do you want to bring up Lila's tweet of that Carrie ratioed? Bring up Lila's tweet that Carrie ratioed.
Carrie ratioed me, and she was agreeing with me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Carrie's all the rage today.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks she's amazing, right? So I'm not simping for e-girls, Jim. I'll kill you. Shut up. It's not what I'm doing. I'm going to make a point here. I want to make a point here about, because it's very easy for Catholics to fall into this "we're being persecuted in America" thing.
Which one? They're using the Catholic faith as a way to denigrate that one?
Yeah, that one. So let's bring up Lila, that tweet by Lila. Yeah, Anna's always simping. Lila's gonna be on AB.
I noticed that Anthony's not blocked by her but I am.
I'm not blocked by Lila. I try not to be too inflammatory. I try to be a little subtle in my whatever. So using the Catholic faith as a way to denigrate Jewish people or any people, spread lies, slander, mock, and ridicule others is immoral and antithetical to the faith you profess. This isn't representing Christ. It's representing your own anger and self-righteousness. So now Carrie replied to that.
I might be a ways down though. I don't know. So here we go.
And this is what I mean. Where's your outrage for the 70,000 Palestinians who have been slaughtered? And here's the thing. I because I'm watching the way this conversation is getting couched into the Gaza Palestine thing, and it's a very libertarian way of looking at this stuff. And yes, it's horrific what's happening in Gaza and the Palestinians, but this conversation doesn't even need to go there. It doesn't. No, it can, but it doesn't need to. So Carrie says, and by the way, I never denigrated the Jewish people. That's a slanderous lie. I simply called out the fact that I don't have to embrace Zionism as my theology as a Catholic. And okay, go ahead. You want to say something?
I was just gonna say, I mean, Carrie's right with that one, because the way Lila framed that tweet was honestly most likely sinful, because it honestly did make it. She was insinuating that Carrie was, denigrating the Jews, and she wasn't, and being anti-Semitic, when all she was saying, I don't need to support Zionism. So Lila, being very cautious because she doesn't want to get into slander or libel or anything like that, she responded to her. She said, "This wasn't about you, Carrie. Also, I say this with love. You and Candace are not victims of religious persecution. You both and I are all very privileged and enjoy tremendous religious freedom and security in America. There are Christians dying for their faith at the hands of Islamists as we speak in Nigeria. Also, I think you should define your terms. How do you define Zionism? If it means Israel alongside Palestine has a right to exist, that is the position of the Vatican." Like it always devolves into this two-state solution stuff. But Lila is very right about, I don't like when Catholics try to act like we're being persecuted. Yeah, Lila would have taken. I mean, she took $7,000 for that tweet. I mean, of course, you would take the $16,000. No, in our country and in most of Europe, no, there's no red martyrdom or anything. But the fact that a Catholic can't go and make a statement like that, a true statement about Catholic theology like that, without everyone calling them an anti-Semite,
right, but that's not persecution, in my opinion.
Well, once again,
it's not persecution, in my opinion. Look, this is all I'm saying is that we do need to understand as Catholics, not only do we have religious
but
freedom,
the fact that they when they're talking about the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, that's like the Holocaust Remembrance Association, that they want to work into actual law in the country.
That's a different story. If that
that's what that whole commission was about, right? Yeah. So there is a real movement for,
and even that, right? I just want to make sure that we keep things in perspective. as Catholics, not only are we not persecuted, but we get tax exemption status from the government for our churches, and we are perfect. We are allowed to practice our faith however we want. We're allowed to say
No,
whatever
that's
we
not
want.
true. We weren't
Well,
during
not by the
COVID.
VAT. Oh, that's true.
I mean,
But the church worked. The church worked hand in hand
Yes.
with the government during that.
yes, that's true. But I mean,
But I think you get what I'm getting at either way, right? We're not
my
being
faith tells me it would be completely morally okay to burn an abortion clinic to the ground.
yeah.
I do that, I go to prison. Are you
Yeah,
like, come on, like we're no.
That's still not religious persecution though, man. Like we're because
you
I
can't
only
say
say
we're actually allowed to fully freely practice.
of
our
course,
faith.
but I'm just saying we're not being actively persecuted. And I want to make sure people understand that
Yeah, I
because
agree with that.
there could come a time when we are persecuted. And that's when your faith gets tested. And I just don't think that's where we are right now. I think right now, even what this woman did, not only is she not going to suffer, I mean, she may suffer some negative repercussions for speaking out like that. She may get fired, things like that. But the fact is, she's going to also garner a ton of support, a ton of attention, a ton of people backing her, right? So there's yes, this is kind of my point. The persecution we're actually dealing with is from our own hierarchy more than the state.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's actually the current situation for Catholics, is that your own hierarchy working in tandem with the deep state in some way is persecuting you more than any government entity right now. Your own bishop in Charlotte is telling you can't be Catholic.
Yeah.
You know, the bishop in, what is it, Denver, coming out and ranting about Trump's racism because of a meme. Or Detroit.
Detroit.
What about the proposed laws mandating that priests break that would be a form of persecution, but it's a proposed law. It's not in yet, right? So I just want to make sure people I just want to make sure we don't jump to we're victims of something before we are, because there's going to I just see real persecution on the horizon, and I want to make sure people aren't throwing a hissy fit. I mean, you can raise awareness and say, hey, we're heading towards that.
Yeah, I mean, if the Democrats ever gain national power again, like little, anti-Semitic definitions and laws are going to be the last things we need to worry about at that point. You know what I mean?
What's crazy is you go to can you find the Cardinal George quote, Rob? See if you could look it up, where Cardinal George says, I expect for me to die comfortable in my bed, my successor to I forgot the exact way he worded it.
Yeah.
It's a Cardinal George quote. If he only knew that Cardinal Supich would succeed him. I hope you guys see what I'm saying here, right? Like I'm not trying to downplay the seriousness because what is happening here, in my opinion, and this is kind of the opinion I've been forming over the past couple of years,
I have it.
is
I
that
expect to die in my bed, my successor will die in prison, and his successor will die a martyr in the public square. His successor will pick up the shards of a ruined society and slowly help rebuild civilization, as the church has done so often in human history. Was Supich his direct successor?
Yeah, I think so.
I'd love it if Supich died in prison.
He just didn't. What Cardinal George never foresaw, and it was because he was sick, and even he was sick as Francis comes in. Cardinal George was one of those bishops who were. When Francis came in, Cardinal George was like, I just wish I could tell the Pope how confusing he's being to the people. And like, that's what Cardinal George was saying before he died.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't have foresaw Supich succeeding him and cooperating fully with this stuff. Like he just couldn't foresee it, but he may not be wrong in that these things still can take place. It just may be another successor of Supich that is the one who dies in prison. And it's still going to be the one after him picking up the shards and rebuilding Christendom as it has done in the past. Like that really is coming. I just don't think he could have foresaw what Supich would have been, Gordon's texting me.
Does he not know we're on a show?
What's your show on tonight? My point is that these things still may be coming. It's just we need to keep it in perspective about persecution. We're not there yet, and it's going to come. It's just not playing out exactly how we all saw. None of us could have thought that the church would be the one laying these impositions down on us and telling us we can't practice the faith we want to and things like that. Before you brought up Cardinal George, I was thinking of something also.
You brought up Cardinal George.
I know. I just kind of lost my. I thought it was probably something in the comments to remind me. I don't know. All right. I lost my train of thought. It's okay. It happens. Yeah, I just I think that that's where I was going. I think that what we're seeing happen, especially with Lila and Carrie, you're seeing the divide where it's going to come down, because I really do think there are going to be Catholics who I always blame Rob. There's going to be Catholics who go along with the Sanhedrin during the passion of the church. And this is always, I mean, Rob and I have been talking about this for the past year or two. I mean, this is where I see the dividing line coming down, and it goes down to two Catholics, Carrie, who's a recent convert, and then someone like Lila.
Yeah.
We're talking about the same
Who's also
issue.
a recent convert. So
they're both converts, but either way, the way I see this whole thing mapping out is kind of just you're going to see a ton of propaganda. You're going to see a ton of division coming, and it's going to come down on this issue of the older brother. I mean, it's kind of what we've been
that's becoming more and more clear
as time goes on, and it's like
it's going to be like Catholics and the Reformed guys against Jews and Protestants, other Protestants, I should say.
Yeah, somebody said something to me today, because I think these issues are connected. So is Gordon right about patriarchy issue being one of the main ones in society? Yes, he is. And somebody said, like, when somebody said that we should get Carrie on our show, I said, no, my misogyny will always outweigh my anti-Semitism. Like, it just will. Like, there's no way that I'm going to, start having
feminism. Who started the feminism?
I agree, but I think they're very related. But I'll always have a disdain for
That's true. Women are
all,
50% of the population, whereas the Amish are 2%.
2%, right? So it's just it's a tricky issue, but Laura Loomer's a vicious witch. Certainly. I mean, look, we could talk about this all night. I don't like when we couch this conversation always in the Palestine Gaza thing.
No.
Like, this is a theological issue, and people really need to understand this goes way deeper than that. Yes, that is actually what the state of Israel is doing currently, but that's not really our issue with this whole thing. Our issue with how Israel is handling things has to do with the enmity between them and Christians. And it's going to get more and more pronounced as we go forward. You're going to see, I mean, it's just happening more and more. And you're going to see these arguments come up between Catholics. I mean, it is kind of strange how it's always Catholics having these things in public, right?
Mm-hmm.
It always seems like it's Catholics having these things. You don't hear
Fuentes, Candace, Carrie,
Jack Posobiec. It's just all the people having these conversations seem to be Catholic. It is really bizarre.
Joel Webbin will be Catholic eventually.
I hope so. He's a bit of a stubborn guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's a bit of a stubborn guy. I mean, I do think. I mean, I enjoy my conversation with him, but I do think he's a bit stubborn. He's still. You gotta think these guys have created a business on being reformed or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So for a guy like that who's got this, that's a difficult switch to make, to now all of a sudden start saying I'm Catholic. So
Mhm. True.
Joe who?
I think he means Joel.
Joel? Do you mean Joel? Yeah, it's like I do enjoy Joel. I think that he's talking about a lot of important things, which is why I had him on. And Fed, our resident Protestant viewer, Reformed Prots are some of the most arrogant people there is. What's kind of funny about Fed is that he is now arguing Catholic apologetics to Protestants.
I see that on Twitter, and I want to make kind of a not a snide comment, but kind of a little snarky comment. I'm like, nah, I'll just let it be.
So Fed is now defending the Catholic position, which is pretty interesting.
Now, to be fair, he does do it seemingly only when it is a position that is held by at least some Protestants. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, what have you got
What
done
do
to
you
me? He said to me, he went out to lunch with a Catholic priest the other day.
whoa!
He goes, do you have any questions I should ask him? I said, you should ask him if you could bypass the OCIA process and have him just bring you immediately into the church so you don't have to sit through that 1 year long program.
Ask him if there's any way you can get the cradle indulgence discount instead of the
Cradle indulgence discount. All right. Well, there's a ton of things I want to talk about that I can't talk about on this side. So we're going to go over the locals.
But you all, before we do that, will get a Taffy clip.
So we will outro Taffy's intro tonight, and
Yep.
that will be what we begin to talk about on locals. So if you are on the fence about locals, we will outro the YouTube show with Taffy's intro clip that should have been at the beginning of this show, but we're going to do it at the beginning of the locals show. That will be what we begin to talk about.
And then you'll get to hear Anthony family drama.
We'll hear Anthony family drama. What else I got?
Flamingo negative drama.
Flamingo minus.
Minus, not negative.
There's
drama.
Flamingo minus drama. And if you don't know what that means, I don't know what to tell you.
If you don't know what that means, come over to avoidingbabylon.locals.com and you'll learn.
Because we have more subscribers than Flamingo.
At least per capita.
No, we got more.
And if you don't know what per capita means, you're on the wrong channel.
Let me tell you something. We're gonna get into some gossip. You guys are missing out if you're not on locals. That's all I'll say.
Let me get the
doozy.
local link.
This is gonna be a doozy on locals. We'll do it on locals. We're not gonna do it over here. Ant is splitting the $5,000 Super Bowl winnings with the. Yeah, don't say that. That's not true. Absolutely not.
He doesn't even split that with me.
Locals is Ant plus more alcohol and shoes. Yeah, Cigar's right. Cigar Mode's right. Get a little, stop being cheap. Just come over there. Like, we have so much more fun over there. You guys, like, all the things I want to say over here, and I'm like, I'll save it for locals. That's what we do over there. Please make a flamingo logo.
Flamingo minus.
I can't believe we said that over here. Oh man! Oh, Molly's excited. Molly's ready to spill.
Someone says,
tea.
I'm not contributing to Anthony's boat and lobster tails."
Yeah,
we don't do a good job coming off as in need.
Listen, I'm not asking for any handouts for being out of work, but I will ask for you guys to come over to locals. Honestly, I ask anybody that's on locals if they're disappointed in the local shows. That's really
whoa. Ask anyone except Don if they're disappointed in the locals.
Yeah. Has any local subscriber ever regretted coming over to locals? That's what I want to know. I didn't root for anybody. I didn't care. I wanted 0-0 and 3-0. I don't care. That's the other thing. We can talk about the Super Bowl. Like, I don't give a crap about the Super Bowl halftime show at all. Taffy, I will absolutely send you lobster. We definitely We definitely
we
owe you.
owe him lobster.
We
sure.
owe you lobster. So me and you will talk behind the scenes, and I will have lobster shipped to you. Even Fed the Protestant. It's a lot of fun over there. That's a good question. We could talk about this. Is Carrie the anti-Erica? Yeah, I promise you guys, Locals makes up for the YouTube portion.
What does that mean?
The terrible YouTube portion. We make up for it on Locals.
Okay, you might have regretted Wagner's Locals, but we're not going to just like rattle off the Summa to you on our Locals, so it's more enjoyable.
There is no way anybody has a better Locals than us. There's not another show that has a better Locals than us. All right, that we've done enough promos. Come over
That
there, Rob.
lobster
Play
was promised to Taffy 3,000 years ago.
I am getting taffy lobster. I will set it up tonight and I will send it there. Y'all eating lobster and she didn't make the Locals free.
Whatever, Paul. Get off your H-1B visa and pony up.
We should offer. We should do some kind of a contest where we give a free Locals sub out.
Would it?
Because
Like
it doesn't
what?
cost us anything to give a free Locals
No.
sub out.
You asked me to do it like 3 times a week for someone.
Yeah, I mean, any seminarians. If you're a seminarian or a priest, and you watch our show, message me. I mean, you got to prove it. You can't just say it. You got to prove it somehow. But yeah, anytime seminarians reach out to us, we always throw them a free local sub. Anytime a priest reaches out, we always throw them a local sub.
Read off.
And if you're
Summa.
honestly,
We
I
can't
mean,
even read.
he's a sophomore in high school, dude. Hook him up.
Ocean.
He's a sophomore in high school, dude. Hook this kid up. We'll get him a
Hold on.
free local sub.
Ocean.
You got-
email me at robert@avoidingbabylon.com. Let me know what email you sign up to.
Oh, I always give people Rob at Avoiding Babylon. That's why you're not getting the emails. It's Robert.
Or team at avoidingbabylon.com or robert@avoidingbabylon.com. But sign up for Locals. You can sign up for free. Tell me what email you use and I'll give you a free sub. We did have Pam Acker. You're right. But she is not an
She's
e
not an e-girl. Come on, man.
She's a scientist. She's the opposite of an e-girl.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got a text from one of the gentlemen we were in Pennsylvania with, Ant, and he just ordered knick-knack. He said, hope you all are happy, you drug peddlers.
Todd.
Yeah, Todd.
Gotta be Todd.
Yeah, it was Todd. Yep. I was not
Gotta
gonna
be
name
Todd.
names, but it was Todd.
Nah, Todd. We love Todd. Todd's awesome. All right, we're going over to the other side. I think we should hook up. If you're in high school and you're living at home with your parents, I think we could make an exception. I say we hook up Ocean.
If you're a priest or seminarian, not a bishop. If you're a bishop, you pay double. If you're a high schooler, or if you're a Protestant thinking of converting, possibly. How about that? Not you, Fed. You've already paid up.
Yeah, no, stop. Yeah, stop giving all these free local subs out. That's it. That's enough.
How
This is
many of your
crazy.
family members have I given free local sub to?
Margot says I'm a high school seminarian.
Margot,
That's
we
a
know your
funny
husband's a
line, Margo.
lawyer. You're not getting a free sub.
Oh man, no, because if you already pay for it, you can afford it. Somebody said, giving it away. Wait, what did she say? Giving it away is not how you end up with people you can't. That's true.
That's a good
Giving
point.
it away is how you end up with people you can't trust. Yeah, no more.
It is robert@avoidingbabylon.com. If that doesn't work for some reason, team@avoidingbabylon.com.
All right. Everybody else, stop being cheap and just chip in $5. I promise you, this show especially will be worth it. Just come on, come over to the other side.
Oh,
And
Apple reviews.
you guys are rats over there. Actually, we're gonna get into. We'll talk about one of you local subs ratted me out. Can't trust any of you. Molly's right. No more free. You know what? No more free local subs. That's how we get rats in there. All right, we're going over to the other side. Play the outro, Rob.
Today, the Matt Walsh Show, a sex scandal among conservative influencers perfectly illustrates why many young men are reluctant to get married.
Wow, this is my chance.
4 to 6 days later.
No, as Christians, we don't do cancel culture, we do cover culture. He says, never forget, that it is a sin for you to uncover the nakedness of your brother, you are expected to cover your brother's nakedness and to not put him to shame publicly. When you could cover his nakedness, you could deal with the situation privately, and you respect the honor and the dignity and the good name of your, because we're all entitled to our good name. He said, you have to cover the nakedness of your brother, of your sister. Right?
I'm sorry.
Why are you laughing?
I'm so sorry.
Wow, this is my chance.
5 minutes later.
Put the allergies to sleep. The drill.